And we're live. Are we live? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me speaking and if you can hear some music. How are we doing out there? Hope everyone's good. Having a good Christmas holiday season. Hope you, Christmas. It's a Western thing, so anyone who's watching from somewhere else, although I'm pretty sure most of my viewers are in the UK, the US, and Australia. Let me know in the chat. Can you hear me? Anthony Hutley, Fernando Ortega. G'day to both of you. I have tracks from both of you. Merry Christmas, Anthony. Bit of an echo. Okay, got it. Okay, how about now? I think it should be fixed. Thank you for that. Cool. Okay, let me know if you can still hear the echo. Cool. Looks like we're good. Sorry about that. I just had a setting wrong, selected wrong. Okay. Cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why does this say 19 and this say 20? 2, 3, 4. I missed out track 5. Okay. Looks like I can't count. Okay, just double checking that I didn't miss something. No, it looks like I can't count. All right. Well, that is how it is. Right. Let's just jump straight into it. Nice garage beats here from my boy Ion John from Portland, Oregon. Go check him out. This is sounding really good so far, bro. And nice and kind of like it's still got your signature sound with the quite tough drums and stuff, but it's nice and clean. Like there's plenty of space for things. Yeah, it's really, really good, well refined. One little suggestion that I think could be cool is you've got this kind of vocal chop, and then just here. And just here, you kind of let out a bit more of the vocal. No. Yeah, there. just this kind of extended little vocal bits. I feel like they could be a bit louder just to kind of emphasize them a bit more, because you've got quite a heavy low end and stuff. So in any kind of like loud environment, they're going to get pretty lost. So I just pump them up by like a few dB. I think that would just kind of like help to emphasize them in those bits. Don't really, other than that little vocal thing. I mean, I think in general, I think the vocals could be a little bit louder. It might be a taste thing, but yeah, I mean, this sounds done to me, really. It's like, it's really good. The mix sounds good. Yeah. I'm kind of struggling to like tell you anything to kind of change or improve. The mix sounds good. The arrangement's good. It's interesting. It's much less cluttered than some of the other tracks that I've heard from you, or like some of the other work in progress tracks that I've heard from you. I think you've nailed it, to be honest. So great. Mizak, Mike B. Okay, you got an email back from me. Sorry, that might be the number 5 one that I'm missing here. I'll find that while we're listening to the next track. Mizak, your track is in here. It's here, number 16, Stussy Mastered Final. That's the track I've got from Mike B.
Come on, baby. Check me I got something for you.
This is sounding really good. This I'm just trying to figure out. There's something with the bass which isn't quite sounding right to me. Just want to check what frequencies we're... Okay.
Come on, come on, come on. Come on, baby. Check me out. I got something for you.
Yeah, this is really good. I think it's just there's quite a bit of mid-range in the bass, and it's not really changing. Like I feel like, and this could just be my taste, to be honest, but I feel like if you pulled the cutoff back a little bit more and just kind of made the bass a little bit tighter, and then you could kind of use it to... Then you could kind of open it up in some of these places to create a bit more excitement, and then kind of pull it back. A really good combination between the bass and the sequence. I like the 808 drums as well. I think it's 808. The rim shot and cowbell and stuff.
Come on, baby. Check me out.
It is a little bit repetitive. Like, I think what you've got is really strong, but kind of like the way that like this bass starts from the start. Is it? No, it's just no. Okay. I think I'm hearing it now. So you've got like you've got this kind of like lead sound, let's say, and then you've got a bass underneath, a sub underneath. So I think your bass, I would try and make that a bit more subby, because it's at the moment it's kind of sounding quite like it's quite rough, not rough like unfinished or something, but like quite aggressive. But it's got a similar tone to this lead. So what I'm kind of thinking is maybe a little bit of separation between them.
I got something for you.
Really solid. Yeah, the only thing that I feel like is the elements that you've got are really good. It works well, but there's kind of no surprise or like switch up or anything like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's a solid track. It's not too long, so it probably works the way it does. But like I don't know, I always like to have in my tracks at least some kind of moment where things kind of change quite dramatically. Maybe I like have a new lead element or something that comes in like halfway through or something like that. Or like, yeah, have sections where I switch it up and take away all the drums and just have the kick and the bass, and maybe some kind of more epic pads or something like that. Like just, yeah, moments which switch things up. I think it can really help to make a track feel more kind of dynamic and more dramatic, but really solid tune. Man, it's like such a simple thing, but the combination between this kick and this like tom, is it? Tom or conga or something, like just sounds so good. They're like perfect together. Like I'm often talking about in videos when I'm making tutorials, saying like what you really want to nail is like the foundation of your track, just like the kind of very simple backbeat, and I feel like this has just done that so well. What I'm going to suggest to you here, you've got these like vocal chops, which sound really cool. There's like plenty of space in the track for them. They give like another kind of texture to the track. They sound really good, but now they're repeating quite a lot, and it's kind of shortening the loop because they're happening in this pattern that's repeating over one bar. So what I would do is take some of them and reduce the number of times they're repeating, so that they're repeating. So maybe one of the vocal chops is repeating every 2 bars and one is repeating every bar, and that way you get the kind of pace from the fast one and you're extending out the loop so it doesn't sound so loopy. So yeah, so this, let me isolate it. This one here. I would repeat that every 2 bars instead of every bar. And then it's going to have like a really cool call and response with this other one. So it's kind of like, sounds like it goes, so if you just have the then the next bar you have this I think it will like just create a more kind of interesting pattern. I would not have this vocal shot in here. It's taking away from the main vocal, and then it's also something this. I would leave that out and just have like the main vocal play, and then put that in when the vocal comes out, because it's going to replace the. It's going to kind of replace the vocal. So yeah, if you brought that vocal chop thing in here, that would keep the energy up, and in this section it would just feel a little bit less cluttered. You could do something with the vocal to kind of make this transition a little bit, give it a bit more tension, and a bit more release, so that when the vocal comes in there, like some kind of like just using the start of the vocal and maybe go like, have it like a chop, like hope you like the sound effects, and then so it kind of like works as a transition riser into here, and then you play the vocal, something like that. There's plenty of ways that you could do it, reverse reverb, sweep, but I think that would just create a little bit more anticipation for when that vocal comes in. I guess that's for the last time. Really, really solid track, man. This is so I did actually give you quite a bit of feedback, but that's not indicative of like how good I think the track is. I think the track's really, really awesome. I'd play it as it is. Those are just basically a few things that I think could like just kind of make it work a little bit better in some of the transitions and kind of keep the energy flowing through the track. And yeah, just some small tweaks, but really solid, really strong selection of tunes today. Unless I haven't been listening to music for the last few days, so maybe I'm just suffering from some withdrawals. Either way, this is doing it for me. Mystery Box, welcome. So I mean, in the style of music, I'm not even really sure what you kind of call it, but it's not something that I'm an expert in by any means. But my first like kind of thought here is these kind of chord stabs that you're bringing in here. I think it's cool the way that there's like a contrasting sound with like something kind of more warm and nice feeling between this like quite aggressive bass sound. But I feel like that sound specifically feels a little bit out of place. It might be a matter of like just putting a bit more reverb or delay or something on it, but it felt a little bit awkward. I like the idea or like the kind of concept behind it, but the sound itself just feels a little bit wrong somehow. Yeah, I don't know. The chords weren't really. I like the idea, but I don't know if the chord thing there is really working. It could just be a taste thing. I like the sound of this flute thing that's coming in, but let's see if it actually comes up all the way. Yeah, I mean, it sounds really solid. It's well put together. I wasn't sure about those chords there. I liked the flute bit. I feel like I kind of maybe wanted more from it, but it also sounds like it's probably a sample that you've chopped up, so maybe there isn't more to have, but I like it. It's a good switch up. Kind of like something I was saying earlier, like I like to have something in a track that create some surprise partway through, so that's good. It feels there's nothing in particular that I'm going, oh, you should take that out, but it feels like there's it's quite busy. It's quite almost kind of verging on chaotic. So I don't know, maybe you want to go through and see if there's, just try muting some of the drum tracks or some kind of like incidental bits and see if there's something that you can kind of, if you mute it, that it doesn't detract from the track, but gives things a bit more space. But very well put together for sure. This, I believe, is Mr. Anthony Hutterley's track. I like that sound you've got on the drop. I would like amp it up, like much louder. If you're going to use, I always think it's like kind of like a litmus test for sounds for me. Is like if I'm like, am I trying to hide them in the mix? Sometimes it's just, maybe it's an oversight here, but like if they deserve to be in the track, they should deserve to be heard. Most of the time, sometimes you want things to be subtle or them to be like layers or textures, but a sound like that, I think, make it loud, give it some impact, I think the combination of the kick and the bass is not bad, but I think maybe just searching for a different patch for the bass sound, like the combination of like the sound of the kick, the sound of the bass, and the pattern that the bass is playing is not giving me, it doesn't feel, it feels a bit, I don't know, it feels boring, I guess, or basic or something, which is generally, if they were like meshing together really well, I wouldn't have noticed that. So I think it's probably just a matter of finding the right sound for the bass. It could be a matter of, you could take the bass line and like duplicate it and layer like a kind of more mid bass sound on top of some of the notes, like over a like 2-bar pattern, or like maybe, because it sounds like it's going over, it's like repeating every half bar. Okay, so it's repeating quite a lot. So, maybe duplicating some of those notes with a mid bass sound that gives it a bit more character. Yeah, then when you pull this clap in, the kick clap bass combination's not really gelling for me. And maybe something like a closed hat or something to give a bit more power on the offbeat. Oh, sorry, a bit more like, just a bit more transient on the offbeat. feel like some of your, or actually kind of quite a few of the sounds feel quite static, like it feels like there's not a lot of automation or movement going on, and that it's not, so it's not it's not like necessary to have filter cutoffs like opening and closing like crazy and things going mad the whole way through. But I think you want to kind of implement subtle changes. It just, if it can feel, it can make like things feel like they're not like, yeah, just not static. I really like these chords that are here. I guess that's the same thing that's on the drop. To me, that sounds like the kind of like standout part of the track so far. Nice on the, is it like a reverse kick or something here? Sounds great. What you could try, so this clap fill is quite quiet, but quite busy. So you could try like going boom, boom, like just a bit less, a few less hits in it, but with a lot more, a bit like louder and reverb. So it's like more like and then the like reverse kick thing. I think it'll just make it all a bit bigger. But if you're going to put reverb on it, then you're not going to, like, I'm talking about quite a bit of reverb, like, yeah. If you're going to do that, then it's going to be too much, because every time you send those claps to a big reverb, it's going to be creating more and more and more reverb. But even like, let me just edit this quickly. And let's get some reverb in there. This kind of plucky sound that you've got that's going all the way through. I think it starts here, right? I think also just a bit more movement in that. Something I do to introduce a bit of movement and things like that are ping pong delay is great for that. Just quite subtle. It just kind of helps to, I don't know, make it feel a little bit more alive. But also I always like, so if it's a synth, I'll put some kind of randomization on the velocity and then make the set the envelope amount to velocity so that some of the plucks are a bit more bright, some a bit more dark, and that's randomized. And it just kind of helps to move things through the track and feel like they're a bit more evolving. Okay. Oh. Joe Lana. Quite a few edits and glitchy bits already at the start. I would probably save them a little bit for later. You could just start with the pads. Strong Stussy vibes on this one. Really solid tune, Joe. I think you could put a bit more detail into some of these little kind of mini breaks here. You know, maybe like a couple of extra sounds. Like there's plenty of space in the track, I think, for some kind of sounds. It kind of feels a little bit like something's missing in general in this kind of like area where a vocal would sit. Yeah, those transitions just feel a little bit simple, like, I don't know, some additional, like a synth sound doing something like a fill or something like that. Something that's sitting in a place in the frequency spectrum that has plenty of space, you know, and then you kind of change it up on each one, do some automation and make each one kind of sound a bit different and stuff. I think that could really help those transitions. Okay, so here when you come into this break. So I think this could be. So what I would do if this was my track is like have this kind of crash fill quite a bit more dramatic. So you've got this kind of, and then put loads of delay and reverb on that, and then leave like a bar, basically that sound tailing off, these pads, the background elements of the track. And maybe you could tease something from the vocal, but then like just leave some space to create drama, right? And then bring in the vocal. I think here you could maybe bring in one drum element as well. Maybe it's the clap or something. Or another idea would be to take a synth and basically copy the melody from the vocal. So then you could use that as, you could either introduce it earlier as like the melody motif from that vocal, or you could use it to like double up on top of the vocal. So you can use that as like an element that really builds in the track. It'd be a matter of finding the right sound that had enough impact by itself, but also sounded good and left space for the vocal. So easier said than done, but I think that could really help to kind of reinforce that as a hook of the track. So this bit here where you've kind of gone from the vocal and the bass, it feels like, so you've kind of created anticipation here, you're building up, and now it feels like we've kind of come down again because you've got these pads in and stuff. So, yeah, I think you need to kind of just keep building the energy and building the tension there, and then drop back. So where you drop back here, this is like the main drop, right? And it feels like it goes into a lull again, especially after this big kick and clap, kick and snare build that you've got here. You know, if you went back to maybe something with where's that next melody, with that melody but like louder and more powerful, you know, maybe less pads in this section, maybe replace the pads with like maybe an open, like a held string or something like that, just, or maybe a ride or something to just like really make sure that that's the bit where people are like raving, you know. I think you've got the foundation, most of the elements are there, or the backbone of like a really strong track is there. I think it's just kind of reimagining it, basically, thinking about the way that the energy flows through the track, because I think it's a really strong idea. hopefully I've given you some bits that you can tweak to get it get it going where it needs to go, because yeah, I think it could be really cool. Really great kick and bass combo. I like that there's like a bit of stereo on the bass. It kind of feels a little bit alive. I feel like you could have brought in maybe here at this drop, maybe like an open hat, obviously not too big of an open hat, but just something to give it a bit more drive. And then I think that clap coming in here would be much more effective. Okay, I'm just gonna wait till here. But yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to suggest, because it sounded like you were creating like a question with the first part and it was missing an answer. So yeah, great. You delivered. Yeah, this is really good. So like I said, I think adding an open hat that's like is going to give it a bit more drive. It doesn't have to be a long open hat, like probably a pretty short open hat, but like something to give it a bit more power. I think that would really take it to the next level. And this, I don't know, I'm just going to call it like a sonar sound beep. that I think could be used really well throughout the track, right? So it kind of comes in here, just where I've played. It's not in... Yeah, so I think you could already introduce that earlier. And you could introduce that like here and use it to like build up, because there's like plenty of space in the high end of the track for that. And then here, if you come in with like an open hat or something, I think that could be really cool. Super solid how it is, but I think those couple of small things could like elevate it. Really good job. I think that might be one of the first indie dance submissions that I've had on the live stream. So cool. Cheers. I think for 30 seconds of the track, like, yeah, obviously it's an intro, but there's just not really anything happening. I think maybe, you know, you could bring in a few more hats or something. Maybe some of that kind of pad in the background. I feel like it sounds more natural from here, from here. Yeah, maybe just bring in some of those shakers or something a bit earlier. Just feels a little bit empty, a little bit drawn out. And for the amount of stuff that's in there, okay, and this bass line to me, it's like an interesting sound and it works, but it feels like it's kind of the first part of a bass line. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit and check what's going on, but okay, so what I think you should do is probably introduce that bass line a bit earlier. You know, it sounds like something that you could even have in this kind of part of the intro, and then by here I would have introduced kind of the main groove of the bass line, maybe at least by a minute and a half. Probably I normally do it by about a minute. But what you could do with this bass line, right? So basically have it as it is, but then in this next half of the bar, have something a little bit more kind of percussive sounding, maybe even like a low tom drum sound, but basically something that contrasts it in the timbre of the sound, but works with it to create some kind of rhythmic groove. I think that's going to create this like a really strong, interesting bass line. So yeah, basically something, I don't know. It's hard to do it without actually kind of getting in there and playing something, but I think creating some kind of like more punchy rhythmic bass sound to go along with that would, I think, create a really, really strong an interesting low end. Now you're introducing this other part of the bass line, which I feel like really doesn't work. It makes the overall bass line almost less memorable, and it sounds it just doesn't create this kind of rhythmic groove that I would like to hear in this track. The track sounds like a bit Mihai Popovicchio kind of inspired. And Mihai's really good at creating like rhythmic bass lines and with different textures and stuff as well. Yeah, I think it's also missing a hook, really. Like it's a cool groove. You bring in these like, there's this like chord riff kind of thing in the background, but it's quite in the background. It's not very forward. It's not very present. So I think like what I would do in a track like this is use like that, maybe a bit louder, and combine it with some kind of like more plucky, aggressive motif or something like that. Maybe a little short acid riff or something like that, plus probably like a simple vocal, maybe like a phrase or a couple of words or something like that. Or maybe two that work together, like one that you play just before the drop that's kind of like the hook, and then one that works with that to lead up to it or create anticipation for it or something like that. But just to put something a bit more memorable in the track. The drums, by the way, sound really good. Maybe the hats could be a touch louder, but in general, really solid drums.
People living around potential targets such as military bases and chemical plants may be advised to evacuate.
Very boxy kick here.
Heard you on the radio.
If you pull out some of these frequencies in your kick, because that's basically right where your bass line is filtered. That's basically right where your bass line is. There's going to be more space for your bass line, and it's going to create a bit of separation between your kick and your bass, I think.
Heard you on the radio, giving examples, saying all that crap about how we sample. Giving examples about how we sample. How we sample, how we sample. Saying all that crap about how we sample. Giving examples about how we sample. About how we sample, how we sample, how we sample.
Really nice use of this sample.
How we sample, how we sample, how we sample, how we sample. You criticize our method, how we make records. You said it was an art, so now we're gonna rip you apart.
Stop. Check it out, my man. This is the music of a hip-hop band. Jazz, well, you can call it that.
But this jazz retains a new format.
I've used that sample before.
Speculated, created a fuck.
You've made the same mistake most auctioneers have. Talking all that jazz.
call and response there.
Heard you on the radio, giving examples, saying all that crap about how we sample.
Giving examples about how we sample.
How we sample, saying all that crap about how
I think the hats could be a little bit louder.
people tell you to step off a lot. You see, you misunderstood. A sample just a tactic, a portion of my method, a tool. In fact, it's only of importance when I make it a priority.
And also, so the vocal sounds, you probably want to maybe just bring it up like 1 or 2 dB, but
Sample.
Giving examples.
Talk, well I heard talk is cheap, but like really talk is just skin deep. And when you lie and you talk a lot,
People tell you to step off a lot. You see, you
but also a little boost around here can help to give some presence to cut through.
sample.
Giving examples.
talk.
To erase my music so no one can use it.
You step on us and we'll step on you.
Can't have
The more distance and time you put between you and the fallout particles, the better. After a radiological or nuclear fallout, you shouldn't leave your shelter until officials say so.
Lies, that's when you hide the truth. It's when you talk more jazz and proof, and when you lie and a drink mad. Cause we're so bad.
I would also like switch up the drums a little bit, you know, maybe have some different elements that come in throughout the track. And maybe a kind of main breakdown.
Situation is a no-win.
I guess it's kind of, at this point, it's kind of novel to not have that, but
You live and play.
And for the song we sing today,
For now, let us set the record straight.
And later on we'll have a forum and a formal debate.
but it's important you remember though.
What you reap is what you sow.
Talking all that jazz. Heard you on the radio, giving examples, saying all that.
yeah, really like the way that you've used that sample. It sounds really good. I don't know if anyone used to play the, what was it, a PlayStation game, Thrasher Skate and Destroy? I think it was Thrasher Skate and Destroy, but it had a pretty limited soundtrack, mainly of like old, there must be like late 90s, late 80s hip hop. And it was like, I don't know, maybe like the same 7 or 10 songs that repeated the whole time, and that was one of them. So I think there might be some mono compatibility issues with your bass. It sounds really cool. I really like the bass, to be honest, but you might need to do some work to have that kind of stereo chorus kind of sound just in the mids and tops, and then keep the sub a bit more mono. Big up, AG. Much appreciated, my friend. This is really solid, Ollie. I really like it, man. I think I remember in your email you said that you were going for more of a minimal sound, so probably the advice that I would give you maybe isn't relevant. Maybe you could turn up the hats a little bit. I just feel like it gives it a bit more drive. But you may be sensing a theme here, guys, that I like quite bright hats. And it's relatively linear. All the elements work really well together, so that kind of means that it being linear is not the worst thing. But I think that's also part of the style. So yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would say this is like the concept of the track. I think this is like one of your strongest tracks that you've sent through. I think it's really, really dope, man. Yeah. Fernando Ortega.
Tales and subtle gleams.
Really nice groove, and everything sounds like very like full but spacious, which is really good. I would probably, I'm not sure if these are two different vocals, but. I think this sounds more right for the track than the vocal here. Maybe they're two, it sounds like they're two different vocals, but either way, I think this vocal would sound better here. This kind of felt like it was too much for the for the position where it is in the track.
Whisper tales and subtle gleams. Lost in mystery so deep. Lost in mystery.
the vocal definitely sounds better here, I feel like. I really like that little kind of sustained Rhodes chord that you've got before the drop. Really solid.
Tales and subtle gleams, lost in mystery so deep. Nighttime secrets unshaking.
Whispered tales and subtle gleams, crimson moon and silver rain, lost in mystery so deep. Crimson moon and silver rain.
This is really good. Man, you've been sending through amazing tracks, Fernando. Congratulations. I see you've been releasing some stuff too, which is great to see. It's really, really, really good. My only bit that I thought didn't really work was this vocal at this position here.
Whispered tales and subtle gleams.
But you've got some other bits of vocal that are... So maybe you could just use a piece of this vocal or something like that, which I guess is what this other vocal is instead. And then, yeah, it sounds really good in the other parts of the track. It just feels a little bit too much at that part. I'm not going to... okay, let me try and say this. Funutsu. You can send through a track if you want. I'll try and get to it. Yeah, okay. I've got space for one more that's guaranteed. After that, it's if we've got time. So send it through. Your kick sounds a bit like... Where is it? Yeah, it's got quite a bit going on here. It could be a matter of just finding a different kick. But it kind of sounds like a kick that might be more at home in a tech house track or something. This sounds a bit deeper. And in general, the intro here, while it's kind of working, I think it's maybe missing a little bit of movement and a little bit of atmosphere. Yeah, you've got some pads and stuff here, so you could just bring them in subtly, bring some things in like volume automation or like opening filters and stuff to just introduce them, rather than just having like these kind of long sections where there's not much happening and then you add one new thing and another new thing. Just kind of doing that in a little bit more of an organic sounding way. So I really like the vibe of the track personally, but there are some kind of issues with some of the elements you've got. Like it's sounding quite muddy, which generally means that there's a build-up of elements in this kind of 100 to 500 hertz kind of area, and you can see that on this spectrum. That like you've got a lot of energy here and not a lot going on up here. Now I like the kind of almost like dub techno sounding chords that you've got, but there's not a lot of personality to the track, which by that I mean there's not really much happening in this area. So this kind of part of the frequency spectrum is where things like vocals, guitars, pianos, that type of thing sit. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to put those specific elements in your track, but a track will always work better when it's got a kind of main element that sits quite strongly in this area, because it's a psychoacoustic thing. That's what the human brain, the human ear is tuned to listen to, because that's where the human voice sits, and that is the most important sound to us, to our auditory system. That's what we are fine-tuned to listen to. So it's important to take advantage of that in your music. Maybe we can call it biohacking for our music. So basically what all that is kind of adding up to is that I don't feel like the track has a strong hook, which is something that I feel is kind of necessary in music. So you've done really well with adding in some of these kind of like details like this. It sounds really cool, but lots and lots of details don't add up to supplement for a strong, memorable hook in a track. So those things are great. There was another really cool sound that I just heard. Really nice. But those things I would say are better used to like augment a strong hook rather than supplement for a strong hook. This vocal that you've used here is also quite loud and got quite a lot of harsh frequencies in it. So it's a solid kind of, I think, you've got a solid kind of foundation for a track there, but I think Jesus, my stomach's making it's going crazy. Needs more Christmas dinner. Anyway, like I hope you can't hear that on the stream. You probably can. There's plenty of space in there to add in like a hook or something like that. So I'll just kind of skip through, and you can probably, when I do it like this, you can probably hear what I mean. pretty much the same all the way through. What you've got there is well done, but I definitely feel like it's kind of missing. It's almost like a movie that's missing a main character. I feel like the bass line's probably a bit loud for the track. It's definitely not missing bass, that's for sure. But I think, it's probably the bass line's a bit too loud. And with such a heavy bass line, you definitely want to kind of pump up the highs and maybe so, but I would bring the bass line down a bit in volume as well. I think there's some really strong ideas in here, but Yeah, I think just the arrangement isn't kind of working. It's hard to say why. Like at the start, it feels a bit full. There's kind of just a bit much going on for this point of the track, but without, like, it feels like kind of like maybe the combination of elements that you're using for the intro there are not right. Yeah, I think, to be honest, what I would do here is basically redo the arrangement. And in order to do that, I think it's important to find like a couple of references that kind of hit what you're going for. Look at how they've done it. Look at the way they bring in and bring out elements and how the energy flows through the track. And try to kind of mirror that in your arrangement. And then also look at what they're doing in the kind of transitions and what more small details they have in there. And yeah, see how you get on with that. But it does, I really like the vibe on that one. So this is a radio edit, obviously, and I think you've kind of missed something that's really important for a radio edit, which I'm going to call like a streaming edit or a Spotify edit, because that's kind of like where a radio edit is for these days. So when you're making a arrangement for streaming, don't think about it like a mini version of like a DJ edit. You don't need this kind of drum intro. Because let's say your listener this track gets put into a playlist. Your listener's listening, and maybe the playlist has 500 tracks or something, and it's just a playlist that they like to listen to. But they don't know whose the track is or anything about it. It's just whatever's up next, right? And it comes on and they go, boring, skip, next one, right? So what you want to do when you're making your Spotify streaming radio edit is start with whatever is the hook. You don't have to like repeat that like completely throughout the track, but I think this here is like a much better, much stronger place to start for this edit. So you also lose a whole minute of the track, which is a positive in the kind of streaming world, right? So you don't need all that kind of intro stuff. So this is pretty much the same as this bit here. So perfect. So I think you could probably, honestly, chop out that bit too. Get to that part sooner. Yep. Chop this. Bring your vocal back here, right? So basically there is going to be this again. Something like that. And then, I mean, it kind of does seem ridiculous. That's what, 2 minutes. Bam. There's your streaming edit. And it hits all the main points of your track. You basically, you should be trying to make your streaming edit very consumable, like very repeatable, straight to the point, so no one wants to skip it or something, but just enough so that they just kind of give them enough so that they want to hear it again, basically. So there you go. I take bank transfer and PayPal. So So I can already hear that this track, to me, it sounds like it's got some pretty good potential, but there's a couple of issues. The vocal's really loud, too loud. Maybe if I take off that limiting. Where is it? Doesn't sound as much too loud, but this is why you've always got to check your tracks with limiting and put them to a kind of industry standard loudness. So actually for this track, for this style of track, I'm doing this very lightly. Like this would probably be hitting around -7 LUFS for a track in this style. I don't want to waste my time again. So if I crank this down, something like this. I don't want to waste my time again. You can hear the vocals just much too loud, right? But you want to double check that. and your drums, they sound fine here. But they're not really like rhythmically, they're not really, I don't know, rhythmically working with your bass and with the vocal. So in isolation, the drums are totally fine. In the context of the track, I feel like they don't really work. They're just, the rhythms are wrong. They're not, like, I think your vocal is the main part of the track. Your bass is driving or like pushing the rhythm of the track, and you want your drums to follow those elements.
I don't wanna waste my time again.
They're also a bit quiet, so
I don't wanna waste my time again. Why don't you come over with me? Oh, so come with me. I'll take your full way. I'm here to stay. Don't take it for all. So come with me. I'll take your full way. I'm here to stay. Don't take it for all.
strong synth that you just put in.
I'll take your full way. I'm here to stay. Don't take it for all. I don't wanna waste my time again. Why don't you come over with me?
So I'm also thinking that maybe if you do turn the volume down, possibly by about 3 dB, then there could be some issues with a bunch of these sounds, these synth sounds that you've got coming in. So you want to be careful with them not masking the vocal. And I find the best way to do that with a vocal is you can use something like Track Spacer, which is going to sidechain, like duck out competing frequencies. But I find the cleanest way to do it is in the arrangement by just kind of alternating the vocal, like having sections where the vocal's playing and where the synths are playing. Nice kind of organ progression sound there. I really like that.
So come with me, I'll take your full way. I'm here to stay, don't take it for all. So come with me, I'll take your full way. I'm here to stay, don't take your full way. I'm here to stay, don't take it for all.
I'm guessing this is as far as you've got it arranged. I guess the track's supposed to be about this long or something. I'm assuming by the looks of the arrangement so far. Yeah, solid start, but I think yeah. There's kind of like this section here where a bunch of different synths come in. You've got quite a few elements throughout the track, and I think you could think about how to use them in different parts of the arrangement to create like different sections that's going to keep it sounding more interesting as it goes through, but also stop it from sounding too full and hectic in certain areas. But yeah, with the drums, I would simplify them a bit. I think just keep a pretty simple backbeat. Okay, so this is from Ryan Cole, and I'm not sure if he intended to send this, but we're going to listen to it anyway. So Quiver, legendary progressive house producer, DJ, is doing a remix competition at the moment. And I think it closes, what date is it, 29th? I think it closes on the 31st or something. So you've got a couple of days if you want to whip one out. But this is Ryan's remix, although I think he might have been intending to send me another track, but we'll check out his remix. For this intro, what I'd do, Ryan, is I'd basically have it like this from the start. No, neither did I, Anthony. What I would basically do is have it like this from the start, and then kind of bring that pad in slowly. So it kind of, so the pad kind of creates this intro part. You would maybe take out a little bit of the, excuse me, oh god, take out a couple of drum elements and then bring them in. But I think there's this bit here is quite long and boring and doesn't really do anything, and then this bit here's got a bit more action, so just kind of blending them more into one. And then you're definitely introducing more elements here, Sue, I just got your track, but you haven't enabled download on SoundCloud. kind of feel like the hats might be a bit bright in this, and it's not. I don't think it's that they're. So in some of the other previous feedbacks, I've said that you need to turn the hats up. I don't think that's the case in here. I think it's that like all of your hats are sitting really high, so that there's not really much energy happening lower down, which can make them sound a bit kind of thin and brittle and harsh. It's a problem I used to have for years, and basically what I do these days is just EQ hats much more gently, like maybe roll them off like that, as opposed to doing stuff like that, which I don't know that you've done that. I think it's more like sound selection, that you've got like some quite bright shakers, you've got like an open hat that's maybe like a shaker sound. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my only real, like that, the bit at the start, and something to do with the hats. They're just too bright. I think they need to sound a bit more balanced. The like wide, like rhythmic shakers are good. So maybe try like a different open hat. Or, right, I don't know how to say your name either, sorry. But our friend in the chat here has said, I think it would benefit from a short defined hat as a contrast to the wider shakers. I agree. Yeah, so maybe try switching out the open hat there, but really solid track, mate. Good stuff. Hope you don't mind me playing that. It was the one that you sent, although I think you might have intended to send something else. So I think your mix here is really, really mid-heavy. I think the clap sound that you've used here is it's not really, it doesn't have a contrast or a equivalent power to some of the other elements that you've got in the track, so it kind of makes the beat feel a bit weak. Maybe something layering it, maybe with a strong like analog clap sound, snare sound. Sorry, a strong analog snare sound could be really cool, like an indie dance kind of style. Maybe a bit shorter. Now you seem to be doing something which I think is quite problematic. It seems to me that you've got your kick tuned to the key of your bass, which, so they're both kind of, I think the track's in G minor and the kick is tuned to G. So it makes it kind of the low end sound like a bit harmonically boring. It could that you can kind of combat that maybe if you're maybe if the bass was a little bit louder. Yeah, I think maybe bring the bass up by a couple of dBs could help to improve that. And then, yeah, like a lot of your melodic elements are very, very loud. And maybe an open hat could really help to pick up the energy a bit. Yeah, on second thoughts, I think just switch out the clap with something else, a snare or a different clap, something with a bit more power. This one's just really taking away from the beat. You've got some really cool sounds in here. I think it's kind of like the mix down and the sound selection on a few things that is kind of letting it down. But I think with a more balanced mix and switching out a few sounds, it could be really, really solid. The only other thing, you saw me skipping through this break a little bit. It's like I really liked this when the pianos came in. But then there's there's quite a lot of like drawn out things happening, but it's not really creating the anticipation for the drop that I would want to be creating in the track. Yeah, it just it's a bit meandering. So I think you want to probably rethink how you're getting to this drop. So this bit here before the drop is really cool. But the stuff that leads up to that, you know, you want it to kind of really be creating anticipation. Seamus Malone. I think your kick here is tuned a little bit high. It just kind of lacks a little bit of sub power, I think. And some of your hats, and especially some of these short ones with quite a lot of transient, are a bit too loud. They're quite harsh on the sides there. With these kind of like rhythmic things that are happening in the panorama, what I would always do, or the approach I take to mixing that kind of stuff, is I mix like the strong central elements loud and first, and then I bring the other ones up subtly from zero until they kind of sound right. But that way you get like this really strong, clean driving foundation to the mix. And then the other things are kind of like creating groove or atmosphere. You can kind of see it in the waveform here, like look at all these spiky, loud bits. They're just like really like stabbing me in the ears with the high frequencies. And I'm not sure if you haven't brought in a bass line yet, but yeah, so you're again, this offbeat hat that you've brought in here is really loud. Your bass line's a bit quiet. It's not really like, if I filter this out. I think you've got quite a lot of details and stuff in here, but I think you like they should be used to like add to the strong foundation of the track. Like I think it's those should be like the icing on the cake, not the cake, right? So you want to get that, like the fundamentals of the track really, really strong. So the kick, the bass, the backbeat. And again, with like some of these, so I'm kind of trying to figure out what is the hook or the main element of the track. What I'm kind of hearing is this like kind of pluck riff that's almost like a sorry, I've been at this for a couple of hours now, trying to think of the name of it, like a polyrhythm kind of thing. I think that could be really cool, but it's a bit in the background, and then you've got these quite loud synth different things coming in which are distracting from it, but this like polyrhythm thing's not really doing much. It's not getting louder, it's not opening up the cutoff or anything like that. Yeah, I think, I think that this is similar to what I've said about a few of your tracks before, Seamus, that like there's lots of ideas in there, but the central theme doesn't sound super cohesive. And I think, referencing is so key. Just find a bunch of tracks that are awesome, that kind of sound like things you'd aspire to make, and try to listen to them in a way of like with these concepts in mind of like, what's the central theme of this track, what's the hook, what's the main character, how does that change over time, and then so not try to like recreate those tracks, but try to reproduce those concepts in your track, and intentionally think about, okay, this is my main element of my track. How am I going to change that over time? How's it going to develop? And then how are these other elements that I've got in the track going to facilitate that and emphasize that? Or at different times create contrast with that or supplement that. But I think just trying to be a bit more intentional with that kind of stuff, I think is really beneficial. This one looks loud. Sounding good though. quite a lot going on in the 16ths here. You've got like yeah, it's sounding pretty hectic and pretty full. I would say there's definitely an element or two that you could mute and still maintain the energy and the drive, but kind of free up a little bit of space and make the track feel a bit more open. So I think with the vocal, I think the vocal's really cool. It's quite strong, but you kind of introduce it here. It's quite relentless. So you could try and like introduce it a little bit in some of these breaks, but then as it comes, so you've got it kind of in this drop section and then all the way through the break. Let me go, and baby, so what I would have here, babe, don't let me go. So I'd have that don't let me go. You could maybe put some delay or reverb or something on that to have it tail off, and then here come back without the vocal. You've got this other synth in the background that's like quite intense, so that's going to take some of the focus. Or maybe just swap these two sections. Let me grab this. What tempo are we at? Okay. Right.
Oh, babe, don't let me go, and baby.
So for me, that works way better. I don't know. Let us know in the chat. Chat, what are you saying? But I think that works like way better. The other thing I think about this track is that maybe I'm just getting a bit of ear fatigue, but I think your open hat's a bit. It sounds like maybe a 909 or something. I would just maybe tune it down like one semitone or something. See if it kind of sits a bit nicer. Failing that, you could also just take off a little bit of the highs. All right, the chat has spoken. It's better. Change it. Okay. No, it's your track. Do what you want, but that's my advice. All right, so we've got one more from Binutsu, who asked to send it in and then didn't enable downloads, and then I've told him like 3 times in the chat that he didn't enable downloads, and I've told him once already on stream. So I'm going to try for a second to... Yeah, he still hasn't done it. So I'm going to bring this up here and let's see if I can get this to come through on the stream. I don't know if I can because of the routing thing, but let's give it a go. And right, so I think you can hear that. Everything sounds quite strangely wide, like you've got some kind of like maybe like isotope what's it called, ozone widener or something on the whole mix or something like that. Here's another reason why it's much better if I can bring it into Ableton, because then I can like look at this with some analyze and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it sounds a bit weird. It sounds like everything is stereo, which makes it kind of sound a bit empty. And then these vocals here sound pretty quiet compared to everything else. Yeah, it's also it's a bit dull. Like your tops could be a bit brighter. It's kind of sounding a bit muddy. But I think the biggest thing is the stereo image. It sounds just quite odd to me. few people in the chat asking if they can send their tracks. Nope, we're closed. This is the last one. So another thing I will say is it's all pretty samey all the way through. Like it's 6.5 minute track and it kind of sounds the same at the start, middle and end. You know, like I always like to have things switch up a bit, have some new elements come in and out. You've got some cool like little edits and fills and things on the drops, but there's not really anything. Yeah, nothing really kind of changes up about the track. It's very linear. It's pretty hectic, and there's no points where, as a listener, I feel like I have space to breathe, which then, you know, so if you kind of have a section where you maybe bring out a bunch of the hats or something like that and just have the kick and the bass and then you go back to it, it just kind of feels, I don't know, it makes the track and the arrangement feel more dynamic. Yeah, but like I said, the main thing is that stereo image just sounds bizarre. Would have liked to give you some more specific technical feedback, but can't do that in this case, unfortunately. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for sending in your tracks, and hope everyone enjoys their New Year's. What's everyone doing for New Year's Eve? Partying like it's 2024? I'm gonna go home and... No, I'm not. I'm going to the gym now. All right. I was going to say I'm going to go home and carry on relaxing in my holiday mode, but going to the gym. Got to keep some balance in some work-life balance, or some more like chill life balance at the moment. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sending your tracks through, and we will talk soon.